today to our Staying in the Zone, Tools for Resilience and Performance virtual boardroom that has been facilitated by HR Recruit, Dr. Izzy Batty and Dr. Naomi Filio. My name is Jo Thompson and I'm a consultant for HR Recruit. I'm joined today by Dr. Izzy and Dr. Naomi, who will introduce themselves shortly. This workshop will cover understanding our nervous system and states of activation, resilience building techniques and soothing techniques. If you've got any burning questions during the event, please put them into the chat box facility and we will cover them as we go along. I'm now going to hand you over to Dr. Izzy and Dr. Naomi, who will introduce themselves and start the event. Thank you.
Hello, welcome everybody. I'm Naomi. Thanks, Jo, for introducing us. Izzy is just joining us. I think she'll be with us shortly. We're just really pleased to have some time with you today to basically, our idea is to nurture you all a little bit and then also just show you how we might be able to support you to support your teams. I'm Naomi. I'm a clinical psychologist and I work a lot with adults, and Izzy and I joined up a few years ago to work with organizations supporting kind of bringing our skills from working with adults and children in therapy and bringing some of those skills to working with organizations. I'll hand over to Izzy so she can just also introduce herself.
Hi, thank you for waiting. I've been racing back from the other part of my job. So I'm also a clinical psychologist, mostly worked in children's services and children's social care. So same as Naomi, we did lots of organizational work. I still do bits and pieces. So I've just been running back from a social care meeting that ran slightly long. So I'm sorry I'm a little bit late. But yeah, our role when we were still in the NHS was to support large teams. So this is the kind of thing we used to do.
Great. So you're welcome to keep your screens off or have them on, whatever makes you most comfortable. So we're going to just talk you through some resilience techniques as well, and just give you, as we were saying at the beginning, a chance to kind of nourish yourselves. Sometimes what we talk about might be a little bit triggering, so just look after yourselves. It's also very hot today, so make sure you're looking after yourself in the heat. As we said, you can keep the camera on or off, whatever you're most comfortable with. Okay, Izzy, do you usually do this bit? Do you want to do this, or shall I crack on?
Do you want to crack on and then I'll do the next one? Yeah.
So we want to also just kind of normalize and talk about what is a normal response to events. And when things are stressful at work, it is very normal for us to get hypervigilant, to perhaps want to avoid things, avoid meetings, avoid perhaps tricky or difficult staff, or go back over things when you get home, go over them and feel like you're checking over what you did. This is a nice way of drawing out the different states of activation that we can find ourselves in. So calm and relaxed is a lovely place for us to be. And ideally, we spend most of our time in there. Also, we have fight and flight. It's where our nervous system is activated and we're in go, lots of adrenaline. And then if things are more stressful, we might freeze or actually detach and maybe slightly numb and feel a bit more disconnected. And these are all really useful states that we will move between at different points in the day, perhaps, or in our lives, depending on what's going on. So fight and flight. This is a great state. It's really important. I often say if you go outside and you almost get hit by a bus, it's really important that your fight and flight state gets activated, because you need to be anxious. That's appropriate. And then the next time you go to cross the road, you might be anxious again. And that's good, because your body is telling you, your mind, body, soul is telling you, oh, watch out, be careful. So it's a great response to have. Freeze and detached, again, a lovely state. It may be that we've had a full-on day and we want to come home and be a bit doled out, a bit numbed. It's another great state. Sometimes it can veer to more extreme, where people perhaps feel like they're staying in that state a bit too long and they're feeling too disconnected. But it's a nice state that we can have and use. And then obviously calm and relaxed. We should hopefully all know that one when we're feeling really connected to ourselves and chill. So we also have these states that kind of merge in between. Actually, I don't want to start with that one. I'm just going to start with this one here. So that when we perhaps and we are calm and connected to ourselves, but we're in a bit of fight and flight, that's a really lovely state. And we might often find that's like called the action mode. So if we're doing sport, definitely going to be in that because we're geared up, but we're in our bodies and we're feeling good. If we're going into a meeting that we're not too sure about again, we might have a bit more adrenaline and we're in that action state. Freeze and detached, that might be one where you've got home at the end of a busy day and actually no, I'll use a different example. That might be one where you're going into a meeting and you're not feeling great about it. Perhaps you've got a tricky boss or a tricky staff member and it's not feeling great. You might be in a bit more state of hypervigilance. So you're reading that person. You're not particularly engaged with your own needs because you're reading the room, you're quite vigilant. And you're attending to what you need to in that situation. So you're on alert, but you're surveying and assessing what other people need. Again, really useful state to be in. It's just really important that then at some point you come back to yourself and listen and look after your own needs. And then the last one is when we're in a very chilled state, calm and relaxed, but a little bit detached. So we probably all know this now with our phones, that double screening where you're scrolling or you've perhaps got Netflix on in the background. So you're kind of not really engaged in either, but you're in a zoned out state. Do you want to add anything to that, Izzy?
No, you just explained it really nicely. There's essentially there's no bad state to be in. It's just it is what it is, and you might not want to be in one of these states in certain situations, which is why we're going to go on to the next bit that we're going to do next. But I'll go back to you before we finish it.
Yeah. So we just want to encourage you to think about which zones you might get into, like at home, what do you often fall into one of these zones or at work or particular situations at work or across your life. It just can be good for us to begin to recognize because if we know which state we're in, we can feel more confident about knowing that and then which state we perhaps might want to move back into that calm state.
And I was just thinking with everybody here in HR, I'm pretty certain you've all had to do some very tricky meetings with some people where you have to be the calm, you bring the calm to the storm, no matter how you're feeling inside. So I was thinking on the image you had before, that would probably be you'd hope to be between fight, flight, and calm, relaxed. But the truth is, I was thinking of the same way that, you know, paramedics running into a situation, they're not sure what they're about to explain, they're about to experience. It might be somewhere more like that one that you just highlighted.
Yeah.
Might be in the zone mode. Yeah.
I want to introduce you now to a nice exercise just to give you an experience of moving into the calm place, giving yourself that permission and time right now in your day just to move into that nice calm state. I'll hand you over to Izzy.
So these are what we're going to do next is now we've talked through those different things. These are some exercises that you can use for yourself. There's also free resources online. There's things that you can also talk through with any of the people that you're supporting at work as well. So this first one is a calm place, as it says at the top of the slide. Just if you are somebody who visualizes stuff, then when you can close your eyes for this, but if you bring to mind somewhere, it doesn't have to be a real place, it can be a made-up place, somewhere that's peaceful and calming. Now, some people don't visualize, in which case you can kind of just bring to mind the felt sense when you remember somewhere. I do this with kids and teenagers as well as with adults, and it's wherever feels nicest to you. So lots of people pick the beach. I know my place is on top of a mountain somewhere by a lake that I've been to. I had this incredible teenager who created a whole library for herself where nobody else could get in, and it had all the books she ever wanted and the most comfortable bean bags. So it can be a real place that you've been to, somewhere when you bring it to mind, it makes you feel really either calm or maybe content or just like you can breathe. Now, so we're going to invite you to do this right now. So it's where I can see a lot of people have got their cameras off. You're welcome to do that. You can also just get yourself in a really comfortable position. So if you're in an office, then that might be slightly more tricky. But if you're at home, feel free to kind of lay on the sofa or lay on the floor wherever's coldest at the moment. And you're welcome to close your eyes, but otherwise you can pick a spot on the floor or the wall just to rest your gaze on. And then as you do that, just bring to mind your place that you're going to think about, and just notice all the things. If it's something that you can see, notice all the things that you can see. All the things that you can hear. Any smells or tastes that you might associate with this place. And any physical sensations. So if you're at the beach, you might be able to feel and smell the seawater, or you might feel the sand between your toes. If you're out in the woods, you might feel the feeling of wind against your skin. I'm particularly feeling it right now because I've got the fan going right at me. And if you've been able to do that, just take a moment and notice any pleasant sensations you get when you imagine being there. And just notice where you feel those in your body. Now, if we were doing this one-on-one or in a small group of real people, I'd be looking around the room and going, right, does anybody want to just briefly say if they've been able to do that, or if they haven't been able to do that? You're welcome to pop that in the chat if you want. As we're all melting online at the moment, I'm not going to ask you to do that. You are welcome to put it in the chat and we'll respond to it. And at this point, then we'd come out of it, and then I'd get you to go back in because we're going to add a few extra things. Ah, somebody's on the beach. Lovely. So now you've got somewhere. Oh, lovely. Italy overlooking the valley. My mountaintop is in Austria, right by a lake, where I just sit with a book and an apple, and I'm very happy. So we're going to go into it again, and we're going to add some taps. So I don't know if Naomi said at the beginning, but we're both trained in something called EMDR, which stands for eye movement desensitization reprocessing. We are not doing EMDR on you right now because it's a whole trauma processing thing. Yeah. Hopefully it was a good experience, Rachel. So this will probably feel like it might be familiar. This is one of the resources that we do before we go into talking about anything that's really stressful with people. We make sure that we can do resourcing so that if we've opened the box on something that you're trying not to think about, then afterwards we can kind of get the body back to being calm before you have to go out and face the day. So this is what we call resourcing. So the bit that might feel a little bit like EMDR is that we add in taps. Now, in EMDR, we do fast tapping, but we're not going to do that here. So here we do slow tapping, and Naomi was just about to demonstrate nicely there. So with this bit, the next step, what we're going to get you to do is just bring to mind your calm place that you found. Again, you can close your eyes if you want. Maybe start by just taking a breath in and letting it go at a nice calm rate. And once you've gone through your cues, if it's a bit difficult to get back into, what can you see, what can you hear, all of that. Just notice the lovely, I want you to focus on the pleasant sensations that go with this place. And we're adding some slow taps, just like this. At about the rate of a very relaxed heartbeat. Remembering to breathe. And then just focusing on your calm place and the nice feelings you get that go with it. And you can stay there for as long as you want, but I'm going to open my eyes and pause for a second because we have a few other exercises to do as well that build on that. I'm because I got a bit flustered at the beginning and started a little bit late. I don't know where we are time-wise, Naomi. Are we doing okay?
Yep, we're doing good.
Yeah. Is there anything you'd add to that calm place?
No, that was lovely.
No. So again, you can put it in the chat if you want, but if you found that helpful, you might not want to put it in the chat if you did not find it helpful, and that's okay as well. Again, if we were with you face to face, we might be able to go off and go. We might be able to tweak it in some way. So if you did want to put it in the chat, or you wanted to put it in a direct chat to one of us, you can do as well. But yeah, are we going to move on to the next one now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, let me. Okay, shall I do this one?
Yeah.
So it's also really nice to, in our work, people often come with distress or type where they're not feeling very confident or not feeling great about themselves. But we've all lived a really long life already, and we've lived life where we've managed loads of difficult things, and we've all got good strengths. And it's really important, as much as we work with things that are difficult, that we also build and nourish all the stuff that we're good at, and remind ourselves of our strengths in whatever area that is. So this exercise is us leaning into, sometimes we use the phrase, a quality that you feel you need more of at the moment. So that might be to feel stronger or more capable and confident. It might be to feel more looked after, or to, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head, but we're just going to invite you to think of a time that you felt, and you can either choose one of those three in that heading there, or you might choose a different quality that you want to feel a little bit more of today. And what we want you to do is just think about, when has there been a time in your life that you have felt that before? And where were you? What were you doing? And these can be really small moments, and not necessarily big moments. It could be a time that you handed in a piece of work that was really grueling, or a time that you were doing sport, etc., etc. They don't have to be significant, they just need to be important to you. So just have a little trace back through your life and think about the times where you really felt connected to that quality. And what were you doing? And ideally, these situations that we pull back into mind are ones that we can kind of remember quite well. So we can remember a bit more detail about them. So we can kind of picture where we were, or who we were with, what we were doing, how old we were. So I want you just to pull a time like that to mind. And again, what we're going to do before is just what we're always trying to do is sync up the memory of it, how it felt, what it feels in our body when we're in that state, and what emotions it brings to mind. And when we couple all of that together, it really builds the strength. It makes it stronger and more intense in a positive way. So that's why you'll hear us saying, how do you notice that in your body? And some people aren't that connected into the body. It can be quite hard initially, and that's fine. You might just remember the moment, or you might just remember how it made you feel, and you might feel light or happy or joyful. So just going to get you to close your eyes, or choose a spot on the wall, whatever's comfortable, and just bring to mind that moment when you had that quality that you perhaps need a little bit more of today. And think about where you were, and who was with you, and what you were doing, and how that made you feel about yourself, and how perhaps you knew you felt that because maybe you felt that somewhere in your body, or where it perhaps felt good in your body. And if you can hold all of that together, we're going to add in those lovely little taps just to really consolidate and remind the body that we're really calm and at a place to really enjoy this. So we're just going to take that moment, just remember it, connecting to how it made you feel and where in the body. Leaning into anything positive and nice. This is where I would pause with you individually and say, what are you noticing? What's coming up? And if it's something really good, I'd get you to just lean into that even more. Sometimes something tricky comes up because it can remind us that we don't have a lot of that right now. And that's okay. It's about gently building these little steps. And maybe that's really important, actually. Maybe your mind, body, soul wants you to notice that, yes, you do need a bit more of this right now. And that's okay. How did people find that? It's really hard to know in a group how we're pacing it and if this is moving too quickly and giving you all enough time. So if you want to add it in the chat, you are more than welcome. Feels lovely. Good, Nicola. I'm glad you got a lovely feeling. It's a really lovely one to, I have one when I need to feel more confident in myself. I have one when I want to feel a bit looked after. So I have my calm place, and I have a variety of different kind of resilience memories I go to for different feelings, because sometimes we need to lean on a different one. So you can also build up a little library for yourself. Right, I'm going to click on. Ooh.
I was just going to say, before we do that, we're going to finish with the 4 elements, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, we've been through this so quickly.
Good. We can pause for a bit of a chat then. I was seeing a young person yesterday who we do these different resources: a calm place, a resilient memory. You can also have calm resources, so resource figures. So people, they don't have to be people you know. They can be characters from books or famous people you've never met. I went last year for a spate of having lots of little girls with Taylor Swift was in the room with us every week. But I was going through all of those with a young person yesterday, and he was like, I can't think of any because everyone or every place I think of is tainted because of A-level drama and friendship drama. And that was fine. It's like, that's okay. We still did the final exercise that we did, which is the 4 elements. The difference is that 4 elements, what we'll talk about in a minute, is the final place you go to is somewhere that you've imagined, but you can still do the first 3. And also there's plenty of people that we've worked with where they can't think of anything today, but over time you collect these things as they go along. So yeah, did anybody want to share their experience, or are you just enjoying there's no pressure here? Like I think Naomi said at the beginning, is just to look after yourselves. Like I gave the example of this lovely young person yesterday, he everything he tried to think of reminded him of something that was difficult. So if that's the case for anybody here, you don't have to do it. As simple as that. So we are going to finish with another exercise in a bit. I don't have control to do the slides on, unfortunately. And I can see that Naomi's been called away by something. But essentially, all states are good and needed, and we can regulate our nervous system. For anyone who's enjoyed these, if you feel like you can put it into the chat, maybe thinking about where or when you might use them. I would imagine with all of you in your roles, you're probably always thinking about how you could help other people use them, because that tends to be what people in HR do. He's always thinking about, how can I calm everybody down? How can I make sure that there's less arguments in the office, or how do I deal with a difficult situation?
So sorry.
I've just gone through the
out.
Yeah, I was just asking if anybody had any ideas about when they might use these. So Nicola's just preparing for meetings.
Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah.
And the last one that we're going to do as well, I often record these. They really only take 3 minutes. So it is something you can do in between meetings if you get 3 minutes. Or you can choose to be 3 minutes late just so that you can prepare yourself.
I don't know if you were talking, Izzy, as well, about the nice analogy you have about practicing and consolidating these. So Izzy has a lovely example. I'll let you give your example.
It's if you are trying these and you're finding they're not working, what we often say is you do need to practice them. And it's a bit like when you learn to ride a bike, you don't start on a motorway, you don't start at the top of the mountain, you start somewhere nice and flat and peaceful with people around you. So that's basically to say these are good things to practice when you're already in a bit of a calm state. So maybe some people practice them by before you go to, when you're lying in bed at night before you go to bed. And you can find stuff on YouTube that will talk you through a 3-minute breathing space, or talk you through stuff if you want somebody to talk you through it. But essentially, if you're already up here and then you try and go, right, I've got to go to my calm place, I've got to go to my calm place, even if it works a little bit, you're still going to be up there. The more you practice it when you're down there, especially with the cueing words that we were just saying in the taps, or the cueing feelings we were talking about, then when you are up there, it might be easier to use it.
Yeah, lovely. Yep.
Yeah. And I always say when we're doing these workshops as well, is that I've got a lovely calm place. I can't get into it when I'm presenting because I need to be in a bit sort of like slightly fight or flight, ready for action. Because and so instead I'll use my resource figures who that I'll think about if I need to get myself a bit calmer for the presentation.
And you're right, yeah, Nicholas, well, sometimes that feeling of resistance, sometimes we need that part. It doesn't want us to be too calm. Like you were saying, is it we need to be agitated and it's too scared to, it's not doesn't feel safe to relax. So maybe it's just listening to that and pacing it until it feels safer to calm.
I'm pretty sure in the heat, if I'd fully let myself go to a calm place, I would probably fall asleep. And that's not what's needed right now.
Did you talk through this slide about all states of good?
Yes.
A little bit, yeah. Great. Well, there we are. We've just talked through that. Okay, we've got the 4 elements.
Shall I do this one?
Yeah.
Where are we at time-wise? It's 1 o'clock. What time are we supposed to finish?
I think we've got till past. Is that right, Jo?
Yeah, past, including questions, if there's any questions as well.
Oh, we're really ahead of schedule then.
Yeah.
That's maybe rushing through it a little bit. Okay, so the 4 elements, like I said, is yet another grounding exercise. And what I'm going to do is, again, I'm going to get you to sit somewhere comfortable. Again, you can close your eyes if you want. You don't have to. And we're going to go through, these are 4 different states. So earth is grounding. And so what I'm going to ask you to do in a minute is imagining your attention like a spotlight. I'm going to get you to shine that attention, first of all, on all the points of connection where you're sitting or lying or wherever you are right now. There we go. The element of air is going on to the breath. So your attention will go to your breath. And then water, and I'll talk through all of this whilst we're doing it, is to do with making saliva, because that's connected to being in a calm state. Because when we're in fight or flight or ready for action, the adrenaline actually switches off our digestive system, which is why sometimes people can get a funny belly or can have stomachache or something when they're worried about something. Because from an evolutionary standpoint, if you needed to get away from danger, you need your body to be focusing on getting your muscles ready for running or fighting or hiding or freezing as much as you can. And so anything that's in the middle of being digested in your stomach kind of just gets left. So one way to get us into a calm state is by switching on the digestive system, which we do by making saliva. And the final element is fire, which is a bit of a tenuous link. It's lighting up the path to imagination. And that's where you can use either of those 2 things that you've just set up. What was that? Was that, lighting up the path to imagination? Right.
That was the fire.
I thought you were signaling something to me. And again, if you have struggled to find a calm place or a resilient memory, don't worry about it. At that point, you can just focus on your body as a whole, just noticing where you are right now. Or you could also just take a moment now to think about if there is any one person like I said, it can be a character, it can be a famous person, or it can be somebody that you know, that when you think about them, you feel it's really good. In which case you can bring those to mind as well if you want. So we're going to start. If you get yourself in a comfortable but alert position, so that can still be lying down. If you're sitting, then ideally have your feet planted on the floor. If you're lying somewhere, then obviously your feet will be on wherever you're lying. I do automatically close my eyes for this one. So I'm going to ask you to start by taking a nice breath in and letting it go at a nice relaxed rate. And we'll do that again. And as you breathe out this time, just let your body fully relax as much as you can wherever you are. Obviously, if you're in an office, you know how much you can relax. And we're going to start with the element of earth. And I want you to imagine your attention like a spotlight and shine that spotlight of attention on your toes, the balls of your feet, your arches and your heels. And just notice how they feel. Maybe you're wearing socks or shoes or sandals, or maybe you're barefoot, but just notice how they feel in whatever they're connected to right now. And if your mind starts to wander whilst you're doing that, that's fine. That is just what our minds do. Just gently with kindness, just for this moment, bring it back to focusing on how your feet feel wherever you're sitting or lying right now. And let your spotlight travel on up to take in how your ankles, your legs, your knees, your thighs, your bum and your back are feeling. How they're supported. And I always find this makes me wiggle. So if that makes you wiggle as you notice the points of connection, or as you're bringing attention to where your body is right now, that's fine. You can wiggle. And again, if your mind wanders, it doesn't matter how many times you have to bring it back. Just bring it back as best you can just for this moment. Then we're going to go on to the element of air. So let your spotlight of attention travel on up and pick a point on the journey of the breath. So maybe where the air hits the tip of your nose as you breathe in, or the back of your throat, or how your body expands or deflates as you breathe in and out, or somewhere else. Just pick one point that feels most comfortable. Or maybe you're noticing all of the points of the breath. And just breathe in and out at a rate that feels comfortable to you. Again, minds tend to wander a lot when we're focusing on the breath. If it goes wherever it goes, just notice it. And just for this moment, bring it back to the breath. Because whatever has just happened has happened. Whatever's coming next is going to come next. Right now, this is exactly where you're supposed to be. And you can take this moment for yourself. And then we're going to move to the element of water. So let that spotlight of attention shine on the inside of your mouth. Notice any wetness. We said when we're in fight or flight, our body switches off the digestive system. So one way to get back into a calm or soothing state is to switch on the digestive system. And one way to do that is to make saliva. So you can help it along by gently pinching the sides of your tongue with your teeth, or running your tongue along the edge of your teeth, or thinking about something really tasty to eat, or drinking water, or thinking about lemons. Either way, wetness or no wetness, there's no right or wrong. And finally, we go to the element of fire, lighting up the path to imagination. So right now you can pick any of the things that you set up. You can think about a calm place, a resilient memory. There's just any person in the world or character that when you think of them, You feel like they're on your side. Or if you can't think of any, for this moment, you can just focus on expand your spotlight of attention all the way out to take in from your toes to the tip of your head. Just notice what it feels like to sit or lie here right now. For those of you with resources that you're focusing on, just run through, notice things you can see and hear, things you can smell and taste, and physical sensations of what it feels like to be in your imagination or to just be sitting here right now. Remembering to breathe. And then in a moment, it will be time for us to finish this exercise. So whenever you're ready, you can open your eyes. I did say it's normally only sort of 3 to 4 minutes, but I that one go on a bit longer. You can do it a lot faster than that. What'd you say?
I said that was lovely. I feel really tired, but in a nice way.
So again, if you feel like it, you can pop in the chat how you found that.
Great word.
Yeah. Good, calming, grounding, lovely. That was what I was meant to do. Yeah.
And you can also splice these up. You might just take that element of water. So you don't also have to run through them all necessarily in one. You can just create saliva in your mouth just before a meeting. These are all good things you can do, little bits and bobs.
The air one, if you're doing that one on its own, a really nice way of doing it is getting your hand and placing it on your belly and just feeling it rise and lower. Because some people don't like that at all. They don't like touching their bellies. There's ones, I do this with tons of adults, but it does come from a kid's mindfulness that I do, which is where it's particularly ideal if you're lying flat on your back on the grass, but you can't always do that in the daytime at work. Is as you're breathing in, what do I need today? And it might just be a color, or it might be something you need that would be a color. So I'm going to breathe in love. I'm going to breathe in confidence. I'm going to breathe in calmness or authority or whatever it is you need. And as you breathe it in, you fill your whole body with it. And then if you want to, when you breathe out, you can blow out what you don't need. So self-doubt or annoyance at people or any worries, you can try and blow those out. And so just taking in what you need, blowing away what you don't.
Love it. Just gonna click here. Oh, I just thought perhaps we could talk a little bit about GTEP and kind of what else is available to offer people. We often think about HR being the parents of an organization. You're holding all the things, you're holding, looking after people, but you're also creating boundaries, and it's a big job. It's a big job with lots of areas that you're having to think about. So one, it's just really important to nourish yourselves, because imagine you give a lot to a lot of people in a lot of aspects of your role. And one of the reasons we've collaborated to kind of do these sessions and bring them into the workplace is because as psychologists, we get a lot of support as part of our role. We have to have supervision, we have a place to talk, to be heard. And often people in other organizations that can be missing a bit. So it's really important. We want to.
Or not.
Yeah. And having seen the benefits of EMDR as well, that also can be offered more widely in a group setting to either teams or staff or people who may be going through something. And that's something we've trained in, is to work with groups of people. What is EMDR? Very good
Good
point,
question.
Denise. We didn't actually cover that. So EMDR is a therapy model that was originally developed around trauma. And at the beginning of it always astounds me, because this woman must have been incredibly intuitive. So she was walking along and thinking about these really difficult family situations she had going on. And by the time she finished the walk, she went back to thinking about the family situation. She noticed she felt a lot calmer, and she was curious about why that would be. Cut a long story short, and a lot of research gone into it, is what we've realized is that if we stimulate both parts of our brain, so the left and the right, it allows us to process and recalibrate difficult memories or difficult events, and kind of sort them out. I don't know if you would explain it in a
Yeah.
different way there, Izzy.
Crucial bit of thing about the lady on the walk is that there was light between the trees that she was following that made her eyes go backwards and forwards. So she realized by looking left and then right, that's where the E and the M come from, which is eye movements. But now when we do it, we do
And also
faster,
just the
faster.
walking, and we see it all over the place, don't you? You see often with
Yeah,
babies, you just intuitively rock or push, or you
yeah,
stand and you might move yourself. So that's really, and you can really see
yeah.
now yeah.
So the best example is thinking about if you've been in a car accident and you thought you were going to die, then every time you have a reminder of the car or anything to do with traffic, your body is primed for action, like I'm going to die. And you might not need that if you live in a busy city where you're surrounded by cars all the time. You don't actually need to be a hyper alert for cars anymore. So when people have EMDR, they tend to, when they've processed the memory of the car accident, they remember it happened, but they no longer feel like they're going to die. They remember that they survived. And so we've done these. There are longer groups that we do of these, where we start with all the stuff that we've done today and we finish with all the stuff we've done today, but we do something in between, which is silent work. You don't have to share stuff with anybody in the group, but it uses those processes. Yeah, sorry, I
Amazing.
just read your message. So the study papers on the EMDR, yeah, they're really, it's really interesting. But in the groups, so we've done groups for social workers actually, so who are similar to yourselves, often in really tricky big meetings, and some of those might have just kind of get stuck in our bodies or our brains. So we used a group where we just focus on, everybody brings up whatever memory they want to think about, they would like to no longer feel is difficult. And then by the end of it, it just means that when they go into the next difficult meeting, they're not still carrying the stuff from the one before.
And you may have heard that phrase, the body keeps the score. Or you may notice when you see something that's created a distress before, your body reacts very quickly. And that's where EMDR is great, because it just allows us to reorder things and bring in new information that perhaps we didn't have. It's amazing. Yes, it is quite phenomenal. When I first heard about it, because Izzy, you trained before me, and I was like, what is this woo-woo weirdness? And then I started doing the reading about it, and then the research, and then got trained. I was like, okay, this is amazing.
And I was just going to say, to add to the group setting, so it's not like therapy in that you have to then suddenly, with everybody that you go to work with, have to share all your personal stuff. What's nice about it is it's actually simple drawing in silence and tapping in silence. You've always got people to talk to if you want to. But it was originally designed for people going through collective traumas. So if you had lots of people who had just been displaced by a hurricane or something, or and it was used in the workplace after COVID. And it sort of helps manage stress and burnout during COVID. So that's where we got our training. But with the time that we've got left, is there anything anybody wants to share, or do you have any questions about this, or do you want to think a bit about how you might, like you said, Denise, it's really important for you to think about your own needs. So you can take all of this stuff literally just for yourselves if you want, but you might have some questions about how or when you do that for yourself, or how or when you might want to use these with people. People are often like, well, can I do these things with staff that I work with? Or I don't know. It depends on lots of people I know that work in HR. They're their job is to do all of the well-being, and other people it's their job is to get people in to do well-being. So I don't know where you were all at.
If anyone wants to come off mute and ask any questions or share any experiences, you're more than welcome to do that.
Oh, I'm just going to try and stop sharing because I think I can see more people if I do that. Stop share.
Yeah, to put it onto gallery view, then you can see everybody.
Amazing.
Hello.
Hi, Rachel.
I just thought I'd come on the camera so you could see I'm here, because I've got 2 different screens, so it looks like I'm not looking at you. Yeah, EMDR is amazing. I've had it myself, and my sister had it for trauma that we both experienced, and it actually works. So I like the new wave of lots of people doing the tapping and EMDR and all the things that help with even just daily struggles. And it's interesting, I've noticed there's a lot of females on this chat, and I'm wondering if a lot of them are also going through perimenopause, because I find that I'm having to do a lot of like going for walks to recalibrate my brain when I'm having a fuzzy day. So yeah, it's a very tricky time to navigate for us ladies.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah. Big thumbs up there.
It's really interesting, isn't it? And I've also, there's Spotify now doing EMDR music, so you just put in your headphones and you can have
the binaural beats.
The bilateral beats. It's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah. So I definitely recommend that if no one on the group's ever heard of it. It's really good, especially in the evening when you've had one of those days in the office and everyone's just stressing at you. It's quite nice to just put that on and zone out for a bit. And I've got teenagers as well, so
yeah. I mean, that's often what I've been hearing and reading about lately is we're living in a time in our particular culture at the moment where women going through perimenopause or menopause and then also have teenagers at home and elderly parents to look after, and it's just everything all at once, just as you might be losing your usual kind of feelings of feeling normal.
Estrogen.
Trying to relearn how to what works for me now, what works for my body.
Yeah. No, it's really good. Is most people on this call HR based? HR sort of roles?
They should be, Rachel. That's what ideally it's targeted at.
Yeah, because I do HR admin for the HR director, but I'm also an EA to the CEO. So I'm always doing lots of different things. So it's quite nice to just sit and listen to your lovely voices, all calming. It's very nice.
Nicholas just commented, how do we best deal with eye rolling responses? Could you say a little bit more about sort of what if you were to suggest, let's try a breathing space, and then they're like rolling their eyes like that? Is that what you mean? That wasn't a very good eye roll, by the way.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I guess it depends on how you phrase it. I work with lots of teenagers who have not chosen to come and meet me, so I'm always having to kind of and you might get a bit of that teenagery response. So that's what it made me think of. I don't know if you'd add anything, Naomi, but what I often do is I put on that voice. I said, you might have heard people go, let's do a nice bit of breathing. And I was going let's just be real. If just taking nice deep breaths was going to solve all of this, we wouldn't be sat here talking. But at the same time, whatever they've just talked to me about, it sounds like what you've just described sounds really stressful. That's the other thing is people think, if I just, especially the teenagers that I see and the kids that I see, they feel as if the reason why they're coming to see me is because there's something wrong with them. And that feels really annoying and really upsetting, because actually often the school environment is wrong, or they've experienced bullying, or something's been really difficult at work. So
trouble.
Yeah, or they got in trouble for something that wasn't fair or was beyond their control. So I quite often just say, if we're having this conversation right now about this, us talking about it isn't going to change everything out there, but we can try some stuff that might help you feel a bit calmer, even though it's not your fault, and it's really unfair that you're having to calm yourself down right now. And this, this might just give you a little bit of a break from how stressful this is at the moment. So it just depends. Obviously, you might adult that up a little bit. Although I probably talk kind of similarly to adults, but most of the adults that I see have chosen to come and see me. Whereas it probably feels most relevant is that the teenagers that I see, usually they've been forced to come and see me by their parents when they're just like, it's my parent that should see the therapist. And they're usually right, you know. It could all do with having some support. But yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, or how would you adapt that. That's where my mind went to first, but I don't know how you'd adapt that to your work environment.
And I think there's something as well about saying not every technique's for everybody. And and I think often I give people the message, you deserve to be looked after, and starting it also from that angle about this is us just finding you're allowed to be looked after, and us can find some ways that might help you. And we can try a few and you can pick and choose which work. Some won't land at all, and that's fine. So giving that permission that it may not land.
Yeah, it's that the key difference is if you're suggesting somebody try something, it might be you might accidentally be gaslighting them into reinforcing a narrative that the problem is located in them, as opposed to that we're in a crazy situation right now and this is difficult for everybody. So I think that's the bit is talking around it. Is like, I'm asking you to do this not because I think you're mad, or because I think you need to calm down, or whatever it is that is really unhelpful, which I'm sure none of you would say, but they might have heard before. It's framing it that way so they have a choice and they're a bit more in control. Any other questions?
Hand up, Rachel.
Yeah, I'm doing it the old school way, look. Actual hand up. It's interesting what you were saying about music, because music is a massive thing for brains and teenagers and all the things, isn't it? You know, I used to teach baby signing. We sang all the songs and did all the signing, and the babies pick up sign language when they're 3 months old. So with a teenage brain going through the same what's the word? Brain's gone. The same not evolution. A teenage brain is going through the same changes as a toddler brain. Forgot the words. Menopause. Music and teenagers, they do connect with it in some way. And it's like you said, finding out who their favorite artist is and sort of connecting on that level and getting them to relax about something that's not related to parents or school or friends, just their own happy space, even if it's not reading. You were saying about reading books and stuff, but music is a huge thing. I think just thinking about what Nicola was saying about trying to relate to them when they do the eye rolling.
I had a guy who didn't have a visual imagination, so Calm Place just did not land for him, but he was really into gaming. So what we would do is we would get him to imagine the sound that would play on, whilst he gamed, and that works a treat. And it's about finding what works with people.
Yeah, some people don't have a mind's eye, do they? Some people can't visualize, which is a fascinating thing. I can't imagine, but I know somebody who's got that, and I was so interested to learn about it. It's crazy, isn't it?
And I just think it's about just connecting to things we love. And I have another client, and again, she doesn't particularly see things in mind's eye, but she really felt loved by her parents. Didn't love her in all the ways perhaps she needed, but they would always cook food and they would always put a lot of effort into cooking. And so we leaned on that as almost like the resource, both for Calm Place and the memory about feeling loved and nurtured. And she would imagine the smells, the taste.
Yeah. Has anyone read the book, The 5 Love Languages of Children, or The 5 Love Languages of Teenagers?
Bye, Denise. Thanks for joining. 5 Love Languages of
there's
teens.
One for children and one for teenagers as well. The 5 Love Languages. It's just interesting. Just thought I'd share that with you. I've got it here next to me.
Right.
There's a teenager.
A chance to read it, unfortunately.
Can't say.
I'm going to seek that out. I'm going to seek that out, Rachel. I've got teenagers, and I'm really interested to listen to your perspective. And the baby sign, I did that with my kids. So
brilliant! Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, but it's amazing, isn't it? Listening to your expertise about communication and reaching out and connecting with people.
Yeah, and I think I use those examples of teenagers just because they're in a position where they haven't asked to be in it, which I figure is probably what a lot of the adults you're working with or supporting, you might be having to talk them through something that they haven't chosen to be in that situation. Yeah. Is there yeah, any other comments? Oh,
Full house and compliments reflection. Nice.
visualisation.
Oh, lovely. Oh, that's great, Hannah. That's lovely as well that you have some well-being sessions on a body often gets missed as well, and that's so important, isn't it? It's reconnecting to our bodies, especially in this day and age. I think we can become very disconnected. So I'm glad you get that, and yes, to add in this would be lovely.
It's all a bit together. It's funny actually, as you're saying that, because I think our early, I don't know about you, Naomi, but when we were training before, early on, it's all about up here for psychologists, and then doing increasingly we're incorporating more of the, and it makes sense, isn't it? We need all of it connected, so body and mind, which is I think why we both love this approach more than perhaps other approaches we were trained in earlier, because it brings it all together.
Yeah. And the EMDR is lovely because people don't have to name all the stuff that's really hard. They can just, it's all in ourselves anyway. We all know it, the stuff we've been through. So we've thought it all before in a way. And so it allows people to experience something very personal, perhaps private or difficult to say without having to verbalize it. So it's just feels like a very compassionate and lovely space.
So just to say, with the 1 minute left, things that we've gone through today, you're welcome. Any resources that you found useful, you can carry on using them for yourselves. You can access meditations on YouTube. That if you wanted to, just thinking about there's that slight difference between what am I qualified to deliver, and what can I deliver without it veering into therapy, because we've ended up talking about EMDR and it might blur the picture a little bit there. So there are various scripts for finding a calm place that anyone can find online. There's also various meditations, if you just search on YouTube, that you can find that will play for you, and you can choose to, you can invite people to join if they want to do that. You don't have to have special qualifications to just use some of this. But what I would say is always just checking with anyone you're doing it with that they consent to it, that they look after themselves. Like if they try something and it brings up something uncomfortable, we just stop doing it. Nobody can be forced to do something they don't want to do, and if they don't find it helpful, that would be my sort of like the takeaway, is just going at the pace that you think is comfortable for you and the people that you're working with.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Nicola. So yeah, thank you for your time. And
thanks, Rachel. Thanks, Amy.
Got to the end, so I'm sure you all need to head off now, but thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I'll just do a quick close. So I'll send out some correspondence to everyone that signed up for the event, and I put a post on LinkedIn. So if you'd like a copy of the slides or the recording, then please put a comment against the LinkedIn post. Our next event is on Thursday, the 13th of August, and is called Managing Short-Term Absence, and a link to sign up will be included in the email. If anyone's recruiting, we've also got FD Recruit, Exec Recruit and Charity Recruit within the group. But otherwise, I'd just like to say a massive thanks to Dr. Isabel and Dr. Naomi for putting the event together. And thanks very, very much for everyone for tuning in. It's been a really good session, so thank you.